Hello and welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason and this is a very worse for wear Matchbox 59C Ford Galaxie. Those of you who have been subscribed to the channel for a while may remember my 55C police restoration of this very same casting. Both models initially shared the same base. These had 55/59 cast on, with the only differences between the two being the body paint and beacon colour. The police car had police decals, while this fire chief's car had decals which read exactly that. Both had shield decals to each front door. When the 59C joined the Matchbox series in 1966, it replaced the outgoing Ford Fairlane model, in an identical move seen by the number 55 police car. The change allowed the models to forego trim detailing, as the headlights, grille and front and rear bumpers all now formed part of the plated metal base. All were painted red, which started out darker but became lighter throughout production. They had ivory plastic interiors that included a driver. The transparency had gaps for the front windows and had a blue beacon sat atop this, poking through a hole in the roof of the casting. A very early run of models received a red beacon as used on the 55C police car, and as such these are now very rare and quite valuable. A mid-production change saw the decals as previously used on the 59B swapped for labels. When the 55C was replaced by the Mercury police car in 1968, the base plate of this model was modified. A raised plate was put over the 55/59, so it now simply read number 59. The regular wheels model was never upgraded to the Mercury casting. It continued in production for 3 years longer than its police sibling. The 59C was one of those models selected for conversion to the new Matchbox Superfast series in 1970. A brighter shade of red was used on these castings. A few can be found with the earlier Fire Chief's decals, but most had the paper labels attached. The new Superfast axle clips negated the plastic suspension piece of the regular wheels cars. Despite the changes, it didn't last long in the Superfast line. Lesney finally opted to upgrade the Fire Chief Galaxie to the Mercury casting in 1971, 3 years after the Police Galaxie's switch. As for the real Galaxie, it first hit the road for 1959 at a time when US car manufacturers were in a fierce battle for dominance. The original Galaxie featured futuristic design cues like massive tail fins and chrome aplenty, riding on the post-war fascination with jet-age styling. By the early 60s, Ford was refining the formula. In 1962, the Galaxie 500 arrived, marking Ford's flagship full-sized model. Jumping to 1965 and the model this casting is based on, the Galaxie had been completely transformed. It now sported a cleaner, more modern look. This was the car's most significant leap forward, introducing the famous Coke bottle shape, a sleek, curvaceous profile that would define the Galaxie silhouette for the next decade. The new look wasn't just for aesthetics, it gave the Galaxie a more aggressive, modern feel that fit perfectly into the mid-1960s automotive scene. Most distinctive of all were the stacked dual headlights, something I needed to fix on this base. The Galaxie received Ford's new suspension system, which greatly improved ride comfort and handling for such a large car. Under the hood, engine options ranged from standard small block V8 to the 427 cubic inch V8 that produced over 400 horsepower. This was the engine that made the Galaxie a favourite on NASCAR tracks. In 1966 and 1967, the design was further refined with subtle upgrades like a new grille, redesigned taillights, and a more aggressive front end. But the focus shifted slightly towards making the Galaxie a more luxurious option for families. Enter the Galaxie 500 LTD, which took the car's luxury to a new level with features like wood grain trim, plush upholstery, power windows, and air conditioning. The 68 model gave up on the stacked headlamps for hidden ones. The resulting front end was now sleeker and smoother with the lights switched off. One of the standout options for this year's car was the 428 Cobra Jet, a high-performance engine that blurred the line between family sedan and muscle car. This engine helped the Galaxie keep pace with the rise of muscle cars, while still offering the space and comfort that full-size car buyers expected. 1969 to 1974 Galaxies were built on a new platform, with the body featuring a wide, imposing front end. Entering the 70s, Ford continued the shift towards comfort and luxury. By 1973, the Galaxie had a more conservative design with a focus on safety and size. The early 70s fuel crises marked the end of big gas-guzzling cars like the Galaxie. It went out of production with the 1974 model year. Now here, due to having to slightly rebuild one of the stacked headlights, I have to coat the putty I've used in chrome paint, plus the rest of the exposed metal too in order for it to all match. To replace the cracked and broken transparency, I've turned to trusty Steve Flowers model supplies for a reproduction, which I am treating to a polish. As for the decals, they came from the equally trusty black square decals. Now, with reference to the headlight fix, it may look as if I condensed the footage down a bit, but I barely had to. The tiny quantity I used just seemed to naturally mould itself to the correct shape. So here were all of the parts that make up the 59C Ford Galaxie Fire Chief's car, minus the beacon. Inserted first of all is the reproduction transparency. That clicks in over the remains of the shallow drilled out rooftop rivet. The interior with connected suspension part pushes over the rear rivet post. Then the base can be reacquainted with the body. The two rivet posts have been tapped and secured down with two 3mm M2 screws. Lastly, I use a drop of Yoo-Hoo Universal adhesive to lock down my replacement blue LED beacon. So this was how my garbage Galaxie was looking when I found it. It had flaky paint remnants, rusted axles, a broken headlight stack pitting to both the body and base, a damaged transparency, missing decals and a missing beacon. Pitted bodies and rusted wheels usually point to lots of outdoor play in the mud and water, and models often need a lot of work to return them to how they once looked. I was confident that I could give this Galaxie a second chance, and here's the fruits of my labour. It's received a fresh coat of high coat red, replacing the patchwork of old. The headlight stack has been remoulded fairly accurately, while the rest of the exposed metalwork has been coated in chrome. Black square decals have done a tremendous job at replicating the originals, and they look right at home on this Ford. Speaking of reproductions, Steve Flowers model supplies have provided an excellent transparency to replace the old broken one. Atop that sits my cut down blue LED bulb that has been glued in place. Elsewhere, the interior has washed up well, and the wheels were doused in Citadel Gloss Nuln Oil to return them to their very best. What do you think of this restoration? Leave a like if you liked it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for all the latest from me, but all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.